should come. Welcome, Saskia.
Hello, everybody. I hope we're having a wonderful evening. Thank you all for being here. We're going to be having a good time, I'm sure about that, as we discuss influence for good. Are we ready? Hello. Hello. Okay, this is not working, so let me just. Are we ready for today? Because it doesn't seem like we're so ready.
Influence for good. The role of an influencer is to use your platform to inspire positive change, regardless what the topic or the situation is. And as an influencer, you are obligated, not in, you are obligated to use your platform to make sure that you direct or inspire change in society, right? And there's so many things that are going on in society every day, and there are people who are naive and gullible that are literally following you or looking up to you to do something. So you are literally a mentor to people, whether you like it or not. So what you have to do is that you have to influence people, like tell people or use your lifestyle as an example to lead people to the right direction, because most people are going astray, especially youth of nowadays.
Yeah, yeah. You know, sometimes people are not really sure if what they're doing is influencing for good or not. It might be looking good to them, but you know, to the public or others outside, it just looks like this is not so good. So how would you advise people like that? You know?
Yeah, but like basically we have morals. Good is good, bad is bad. It doesn't mean the fact that society changed something or trying to change something or applaud something doesn't mean that what society says is good, or what they're trying to like change from bad to good is good. So you yourself, you know, that's why you have a moral compass. If you know that something is good, it's good. And when people come out to like criticize what you do, because when you are doing something good, people you tend to have less criticism. So when you are doing something bad and people be like, oh, what you're doing doesn't make any sense, you have to like reevaluate what you're doing and kind of look inwards, or what am I doing? Am I making sense? Or because the fact that you have freedom of choice or freedom to do whatever you want doesn't mean that you have to go with whatever path you want to take. So it still has to do with you as yourself looking at what um, the reaction you get online, right? Since you're basically influencing online, your reaction will also determine if you're doing something right or you're doing something wrong, or it's something that is right but people are yet to accept.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, Mr. Akin, this question is for you. Now, an attempt by an influencer geared towards stirring change is sometimes misinterpreted, a lot of times, in fact, in our society, by the general public as a move towards personal gains. I mean, especially during this election period, you can tell already a lot of people are tackling influencers, depending on who they're supporting, maybe saying they're doing it for personal gains and all of that. So what do you think are the possible solutions to clear such misconceptions?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to start by explaining what I feel influencing for good means in the first place, just so we're on the same page. Influencing for good means when you use a platform that you have in such a way that it benefits a large number of people in the largest possible way. Now, when we say influencing for good, we don't need to think about the highfalutin things. It might be things as simple as the information you share or the way you behave, the way you carry yourself, the things you do. Because when you have a platform, whether you like it or not, like Daniel said, people are watching you. People are listening to you. So it might be something as simple as that, or something like actually now going on the field or going to the streets to do things that influence other people. So for me, that's what I feel influencing for good means. Now, with that background information, when you say that, how do you change the conception of people thinking that everything you're doing or most of the things you're doing in your influencer marketing is for personal gain? Well, I feel like the answer to that question stems from a place of integrity. If people have already known you over time to be someone that practices what you preach, it might be, for someone like me, and I'm a lifestyle influencer, I wouldn't influence for a product that I cannot use or that I do not use just for the sake of influencing. And over the years, at the end of the day, your audience are listening, they are seeing, so they know who has integrity and who's just doing it for influencing sake. So if you've been able to build a brand that has that much integrity for years, when it comes to a time like this, like Saskia said, this election period, at the end of the day, everybody has the right to campaign, to vote for whoever they want to. But when you start to do that as an influencer, people don't have to question that integrity because they know that even if your candidate is not their candidate, you have your reasons for wanting to choose that person. So the answer to that question, simply put, is that it's a thing of integrity. If your integrity is there, and integrity is not something to take lightly, especially for an influencer. Integrity is something you have to build over time and over the years. So if you have that reputation of integrity, then it shouldn't really be a problem.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Akin. If you do not know who just joined us, let me introduce you to the Nigerian medical doctor who is also a health blogger, an activist, and a social media personality. He's the founder of the Aproko Doctor brand, which is geared towards building a healthier Africa and improving global health. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for Chinonso Bobby Fidelis, also known as Aproko Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us. So I would like to get your perspective on what you think influencing for good really is.
Thank you so much for that question. So when it comes to influencing, influencing is something we do every day, whether you're an influencer or not. I have seen people who try to put down influencers by saying, I can never be influenced by anybody. And if you make your decision based on another person's thought process, then it means you don't have a thought process yourself. And it sounds like a good thing to say, but it's very off. The reason is, if we look back at every decision we've made in our lives, it seems like we made those decisions, but they were influenced by someone. You watch a movie based on your friend's recommendation, that is influencing. So simply because, some people have taken it to that level where they have now built a strong community online, almost every action that they make is now scrutinized by other people. So it now is something that influencer, let's now put that title on them, that influencer has to be, cautious about, that people are watching. And so your actions or inactions can actually, be the result of something. So influencing for good is simply being, I am now aware that I have a community, and I will make sure that, my actions or inactions will make that community better. Not necessarily the whole world. It's your community.
That's right, that's right. So do you think that influencers have done well in affecting, the public opinion towards personal development? And how have they done so?
So then again, I don't want to generalize, right? because if we, like I said, I don't want to generalize, but if you look at what some people are doing, it seems like that's not influencing for good, right? Yes, every influencer understands that. Some influencers feel that, whether I am this or that, I'm doing me. I'm not doing it for the people.
Yeah.
This is me. If you don't like me, move out, right? Like I said, cool thing to say. But at the same time, there are people who are young who are watching you. There are people who are still very impressionable who are watching you. And it's not just the content you put out. Sometimes it's the content of the people put out of you. So it means you have to be aware. If you want to have that community online, you have to be aware, you have to be cautious of your every action, because you don't know. Okay, recent example, I came on IG, and sometimes you see where you're tagged, right? And I saw a video of myself driving that I did not put out. So someone saw me and made a video of me. Now, it would have been a different thing if I was having an action that does not necessarily edify people. But there are influencers who have made it their life's work to ensure that everything they put out betters the life of someone else. So if you talk about those influencers, I will tell you, yes, they've done a great job. What they now need to do is to amplify their voice, or collaborate with other people to help amplify their voice. But have they done a good job? Yes.
Wow, okay. So we now know there are definitely people who are not doing a good job influencing and people who are doing a great job. We would learn today to know those ones to look out for, absolutely. Anyways, joining us this evening is also a lifestyle and education manager in Sub-Saharan Africa. She's a talent manager and is known for creating digital footprints in fashion, brands, and trends. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Oluwateninolami Oyewole. Thank you so much for her. All right, so would you give us your perspective on what you think influence for good really means?
Can you hear me? Everyone? Thank you. Thank you. So from my perspective, I think influence for good is making sure that whatever actions, whatever thing that you put online or offline as an influencer, the moment you carry that tag influencer, everything that you do needs to make an impact or it needs to be positive. That's what really defines you being an influencer, and it's not just maybe vibes. So influence for good is you being conscious of the fact that everything you do is being watched by others, and you need to make sure that everything that you put out online or everything that you do offline is positive.
Okay, so seeing already that influencers are like role models in the society and their actions and inactions affect individuals, what do you really think? What can you say about that? Like, what can you say about influencers and their influence on individuals?
To be honest, that's why I said the moment you take that tag influencer, you need to be conscious of everything that you do. Because whatever you do, as much as, like he said, everybody wants to do you, you want to be yourself, but you need to realize that you now have an audience, people are watching you. Whatever you say, tweet, put out in gatherings, every opinion that you have is being watched by people, and it's being subconsciously, people are taking it in, whether directly or indirectly. So yes, it will definitely contribute to, whether you're doing it positively or negatively, definitely is influencing a group of people or a community of people.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution. Mr. Daniel, I'm coming back to you. So how do you think influencers can ensure that their efforts to promote societal good are authentic and not just a marketing strategy?
Yeah, this is a very good question because it actually kind of reflects to me directly as a person. And like my brother have said, and like what he said, influencing, you just have to be authentic. I think most people nowadays see influencing as a kind of like a way to like up their social status and like become popular, get fame and rest. So people are doing all kind of nonsense online nowadays to. I would say that it's going to be like influence for bad.
There's a lot of money involved, I
No,
guess.
no, I'm going to say it because it happens. Like majority of the people online these days, they don't even like care what they put out there. As far as they get the engagement, the vibes, and the endorsement they think they are chasing, you get. So if you want to use your platform to do something good, you have to be an example yourself. Like me myself, I'm going to use myself as an example. When I repeat my outfit, it's not because of I feel like I don't have money to get new ones. It's because on the daily I repeat my outfit, right? There's no one here that styles one outfit and just throw it out. No one is Kim Kardashian here, for example. So the thing is that if I want to be authentic, I have to live my life the way I think other people should live their life. When I come out and make tweets per se, like, oh, when you're in a public bus, don't do this, it's what I experience on a daily. And I don't know if most of my audience are rich or they're acting rich, but these are things I think the common people, no, it's the things common people experience. So when you want to be authentic, if you want to like influence, you want to be a good influencer, you have to live a life that when people see you offline, what you say online kind of relates. That's how you just have to be authentic in anything you do. If a professor comes out and be like, drink water, and you come out tomorrow and you see him just drinking beer up and down, you'll be like, what's going on? You understand?
I'll be shocked.
So that's the thing. So like he said, someone took a video of him driving. So imagine if someone took a video of him and it was like smoking. Do you know how that thing is going to like kind of like tint his image? So it's all about authenticity. So just be authentic. Like the whole thing. If you want to influence people, you have to be authentic. You have to make sure that what you are putting out is a reflection of yourself, not just because you want to like get engagement. Because it's easier to get engagement, but being authentic is the hard part, which influencers, most influencers these days are not like paying attention to. They just want to be like, oh, this thing is going on. This is a trend that's going on. Let me just hop on this trend and just catch the cruise. I'm an influencer, so that's the thing.
Yeah, but some people see it as influencing is a job, obviously. Yes, and some people see it as it's just a job. So the person you see while doing the job is probably a different person you see online. How do you address
And that's
people?
the problem, because people think influence is just like coming to say politics is a job. To some people, it's a job. Election is coming on, I'm an influencer, pay my money, I'll go and campaign for what I want to campaign for. What concerns me is my money. At the end of the day, we'll still vote for one of the people I don't like. That's what people do say, right? It's a job. I can come out like what you said, I can come out now and be like, oh, a brand just called me up and please use your platform to push this thing. I'm going to pay you like 100K, 200K. Ah, this is good money. Oh. Everywhere just dry. Just pick up the job. You don't even care. You're not using the product. And you see people doing this kind of thing. So influencing is not just a job. I think influencing is a lifestyle. Whatever you are doing, whatever you're influencing, it should be a part of you. If you're coming out, if you're a doctor, influencing that are related to medical line, don't come out and start influencing things that are not what you do on a daily basis. So influencing, personally to me, influencing is not a job. Influencing is what in fact, I just feel like I don't see myself as an influencer. Like I tell people all the time, I don't see myself as an influencer. I don't see myself as a brand. Though I'm a brand, but I don't see myself like, this is Daniel. So whatever I put online, if I come out and say, don't do this or do this, if you come out and start criticizing me, I don't care because that's what I do on a daily. Tomorrow I'll still post it again. My platform, my choice. If you don't like
Absolutely.
it, like you said, move. Simple.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Because I believe in our society right now, there's a lot of people that they influence things or movements that they are not even really a part of, just for the money and let me just do this.
Like NSAS.
Like
NSAS. Most people that influence NSAS, look at them today now. Who are they campaigning for?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Daniel. Mr. Akin, this question is for you. How do you think influencers can ensure that the efforts to promote societal good are sustainable and have a long-term impact? I think that's like a continuation of what we're saying. You're not just doing it because you've been paid to do this, and after 1 year, your contract expires, and that's the end. You don't influence that again. And I can understand for products maybe, but for lifestyles, for movements, for example, like the NSAS we just spoke about, how do you think influencers can make sure these are sustainable and have a long-term impact?
Okay. From my point of view, I want to say something quickly about what I think influencing is in the first place. You see, nobody wakes up and becomes an influencer. That's where I feel like a lot of people get it wrong. You are an influencer for a reason. When you say someone is a social media influencer, the person got the audience that they have, the community that they have built off something. A lot of people that are influencers now, like a couple of my friends, started doing what they were doing, not thinking that they were going to become influencers. But they are doing what they do, what they enjoy to do so well, that they eventually amassed an audience and now have an influence over that audience. So for every influencer, there has to be a foundation. Are you a lifestyle content creator? You've been creating content, lifestyle content. And because of how good your content is, you've amassed a following, an audience. Now you are an influencer, but you are still a lifestyle content creator. Some people amass their audience off controversy. It has to be said. Because to be honest, that's the easiest way to amass an audience. If you keep, putting out controversial content, you will have an audience. That also makes you an influencer. But it's different. It's like two things are not the same. I'm giving this background illustration to answer that question, where you talk about sustainability. Because how do you sustain impact you have on an audience? For me, I feel it's two major things. Through education and empowerment. What do I mean by education? For education, it is, because you have an audience, that means that when you have information to share, and when you share information, you have people that will listen to you because they believe that you are someone that can tell them something that they will listen to. So it becomes your responsibility as an influencer to constantly share the right information. That way, when your audience has been consuming that right information, consciously or subconsciously, it also becomes a part of them. And the larger the audience is, the more impact you're going to have. Another thing is empowerment. Because I don't want us to box this influencer for good thing online. At the end of the day, every influencer is a person. For someone like me, I'll give you guys a background story. I'm a doctor, and I practice in Lagos State. When I was done with school, I started content creation and influencing when I was in school. So when I was done with school, I was sort of at a crossroad that, okay, should I focus 100% on influencing or should I keep practicing? I'm going to share my thought process and the reason why I decided to continue the both of them. At the end of the day, I enjoy content creation. I enjoy creating content. I enjoy what I do online, the influencing bit of it. But at the end of the day, I'm also a person that needs to have impact on people in several ways. Influencing is just one way out of it. So because I knew that me being in a hospital every day, there's no way I will not have impact on people. That's one of the reasons why I decided to continue practicing. That's online arts aside. And if you also think about it, there's something called social responsibility, which is pretty much the summary of what everybody has been saying so far. When you have an audience, you have a responsibility to that audience. You can carry that, your responsibility, outside to the streets. It might be something as simple as organizing classes, conferences. It can be something as simple as, even if it is sharing food, it is something at the end of the day. So, but I believe more in empowerment anyway. So I believe maybe you do something that would empower an audience for them to be able to sustain whatever impact you've made on them, even when you're not there. So, summarily speaking, education and empowerment are the ways to keep impact sustainable. Otherwise, if it's a one-off thing, you just come do whatever you have to do. If you didn't educate people, you didn't empower them, by the time you leave, it's back to square one. Yeah,
that's true. Because I think nowadays there's a lot of people that want to be influencers or content creators, but they're not even sure where they want to start with. They don't know what they want to influence or what type of content they really want to put out. But you've heard that now, so you know which way to start. The next question is for Apropos Doctor. So being someone who has been mainstreamed across key social media platforms, which of the platforms would you say is the most effective with respect to influencing for good, and why?
That's a very tricky question.
It is.
Because if I say Twitter, Facebook people will feel slighted. If I say Facebook, Twitter people will feel slighted. So I think what I would say is each platform has its own characteristics. And it is important that you understand the different characteristics of the different platforms. I cannot speak to the people of Twitter the same way I speak to the people of Facebook. I cannot speak to the people of Facebook the same way I speak to the people of TikTok. I will not get the same reactions, right? And for Twitter, right, the algorithm favors controversial stuff. And so some people who do not have, quote unquote, a focus, feel that the only way to garner the response is by posting something controversial. So whether it's true or not, post it. Whether it edifies or not, post it. Where I see people who actually understand what they're doing are people who want to influence for good, but they still find a way to make it, quote unquote, controversial, but it's for good. So storytelling, for instance, adding emotions, for instance, and that's for Twitter. For Facebook is the same thing, right? So I wouldn't say that there are, that for me, which platform works the most. I would just say that it's not about the numbers. Most times we feel we've influenced when we see the numbers. This my post got 1 million views. But it probably never influenced anybody. It just made me laugh and that's it. When you say you've influenced someone is when that person changes a certain part of their behavior because of what you've been putting out. And after, Akin Faminu spoke, I was like, what else are we doing here? We should all go home. He is a fashion influencer to me. Or probably to everybody else. There are sometimes I'm looking for what to wear, and I go to his page as one of the pages I look out for. But then again, I now look at it, but I was like, I'm thicker than he is, so it's probably not going to work. So the same way, I can comment on his post, but that doesn't mean that that particular post, if you never can tell if you're not consistent. So the major thing is building consistency on these platforms, talking about what you believe in, and sometimes you get feedback, sometimes you don't.
True. That's true. That's true. I think when I first started content creation, and during lockdown, actually, one thing I learned from, the big content creators was consistency. They'll be like, post every day. It doesn't matter if you get 2 likes, 3 likes, just keep posting. People are seeing it. You don't know who's watching. The brands you're trying to work with, they are watching. They might just reach out to you on that post that has 2 likes. So just do what you need to do, to be honest. Put out the content as much time as you can.
A little background information, right?
Yeah.
So I started this as soon as I left school, same as him, right? And I just wanted to help people. I did not want to become an influencer.
True.
I just wanted to help people. So post out information. And then one of the skills I had was graphic designing.
Oh, wow.
So I would post graphics on Facebook about health, but nobody was paying attention. So I took that information, I went to Instagram, and it was even worse.
Oh, wow.
So one day I just decided, let me just tell a story of what happened to me in the hospital.
Yeah. Sure.
And I did that on Twitter. It just took off. And I was
You
like,
never know which one.
oh, people love stories. So how do I put this information in a story format that would make people at least pay attention? Because if I come every day and I start telling you these are the different types of antibiotics, you most likely scroll up.
True. True.
So how do we make this information interesting, but
Yeah.
still you're still passing across that information? That is where, the influencing comes in. And I did that for a very long time, even though, quote unquote, nobody was paying information, paying attention. But until one day, someone posted that somebody choked in Onitsha. I live in Lagos, by the way. And they were like, let's pour him water, let's do this. And then someone in that crowd remembered something I posted on how to resuscitate someone.
Wow.
And they used that and they told me about it. And believe me, that was all I needed to
That was
continue.
enough, yeah.
So I pushed on TikTok, found TikTok, and TikTok was another learning
Yeah.
experience entirely. I'm even just getting into YouTube, right, recently. So you never can tell which platform. Just continue what you're doing.
Just be consistent, no matter how hard it gets. Just be consistent. Thank you so much for that. Ms. Tani, question is for you next. So, how can influencers balance the need to make profits with the need to make a positive impact in the society? This is a heavy one.
Wow. Interesting question. If I'm being honest, I tell my influencers too and content creators I manage, if you start out as, I want to be an influencer, like Daniel said, it's easy for you to miss it.
True.
Many people didn't come up saying, oh, I want to be an influencer, and this is influencer 101. No. I have audience, okay, people are paying me to do this. Okay, now, bio, influencer. That's how many people stumbled there. But if you want to be honest as regards balance, I always tell people, you have to pick a stand. Are you an influencer for just vibes? Like post anything, jump on controversies, and just get the numbers, retweets, likes, and all? Or you really want to impact people? A lot of people are not honest with themselves, is why many times they are quote unquote not focused. For balancing, right, everybody wants to make money out of whatever thing that is set out to do, but not everything should you be involved in if you want to make impact, because in the long run it will bring profits, but at the earliest stage you need to stand for something. Let people know that, this influencer, this is what he does, this is what she does, and you're not everywhere. There are some people that you find in everybody's comment section. There's some people you find talking about everything, dropping 2 cents, like, you just calm down?
I'm dragging people here.
Yeah, you're just everywhere, and you can tell that it's because they just want their name out there. They just want to do everything. They want to take every campaign, every brand. At the end of the day, they are not really making an impact if we are being honest with them. So we just know that this person is very controversial. If there's any fights now on Twitter, you see the person there. That's where you find the person. Because the person is everywhere. Comment section, you are dragging someone, you are going back and forth with people. That's not influencing for good, if I'm being honest. You are just everywhere. I don't even call those kind of people influencers. But if you want to make an impact, you have to pick a stand. Let us know what you stand for. And you need to be vocal about it. Many people want to be in between because they want to take everything and make profit from everything. So they are scared to take a stand as regards like really pressing important issues. If you want to balance both, it's possible for you to be an influencer where you are making impact and you still make money from it. Yeah. I don't think you should be greedy, taking everything. Just pick a stand, follow through, and you'll see that in the long run, it is profitable.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Because I agree with you. There's people that started off as content creators and became influencers, and they'll tell you, I've worked hard for this, so I can use my platform to do whatever I want to do. You're not going to tell me which brands to accept or what to influence or not. So I think, what advice would you give people like that? Because like we've been saying, whether you like it or not, you influence people at some point. So what can you really advise people like that?
I don't think it's in my place to advise because you know what you are doing. You just have to pick a stand, like I said. If you want to do everything, if it works for you, good luck. I mean, there's so many campaigns or brands that I work with, and when they ask for influencers, they take your name off the list.
But you know, there's also brands that actually like when people are controversial.
Yes, because
there's
they are
people
brands
that are looking out for that. In fact, if you're not controversial, you're not getting what they want.
Because
There's
that's
people
what
that
they
do that.
want. That's the goal for them. So, for example, when I work with brands or I work with artists, the first thing I ask them is, what is the end goal? What do you want? If you want just anybody, controversial people and all of that, it's possible. Everybody can. I don't think everybody should follow one road. Everybody can be making impact in a positive way. That's why we're all different. Some brands look out for people like that, but in the real sense, it depends on what they are selling or what their goal is.
That's right.
So it works for them. It meets their OKRs. It meets their KPIs. It meets everything that they want because those are the people that they want to connect with or reach. So if it works for them, that's fine. But there are many brands, especially the ones that have built the brand. They are not SMEs. They are not people that are just there for vibes. People that have things to protect. Companies that have worked hard for their name. Trust me. And that's the thing with influencers. Of course, everybody wants to act like, oh, it doesn't get to me. I know a lot of people that get taken off different things, but they won't tell you the actual truth. And that's because either they are controversial or they are just everywhere. Many people don't want to work with them. Many good brands, people that have built their name over the years, they have a lot to lose. So they are not ready to work with influencers that are going to stain their name or bring a brand association that they are not ready for.
That's true.
But if it's other brands, I don't want to call name, of course, waist trainer, do anything you want to
do. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Tenny. That was a lot. Ground shaking. Thank you so much. Daniel, over to you. Now, how best do you think brands can leverage the impacts of influencer marketing for community development? This is almost like a continuation of what Tenny just said, yeah. How best do you think brands can actually leverage on this influence?
One of the problems I've faced with brands, because like what she said, right, it's not about just brands will reach out to you, whether you're controversial, whether you're a nobody, or as far as you have an audience, brands will reach out to you. Yeah. And picking on what she said, she was like, that some brands don't want to stain the name. Actually, that is kind of right, but I think that kind of wrong because every brand wants publicity. As far as your image itself is not 100% bad, brands want publicity. Personally, myself, that brands have reached out to me, right? And they'll be like, oh, I want you to work for us for like 6 months, a year, do this, do that. And what I tell brands from the onset is that I even put most of the time on my platform, like, if I'm working for you and you think what I'm doing, you don't like it, you can leave because you knew what I was doing before you came for me. It's not as if like I just woke up one morning and was like, oh, this brand came to me, let me just go crazy about this brand. No. And sometimes what brands need to do is that when you give an influencer a job to do, let that influencer do the job the way they can do it, the best way they can do it. Don't come about telling influencer or okay, let's say you're a fashion influencer now. You'll be like, oh, I want you to do a content creator. This is how I want you to do it. No. He knows the best way to engage his audience. It's as simple as ABC. So when you want to like do something as a brand, when you give your influencer a target, give influencers targets, but don't impose on them that these are the certain way, these are things you have to do, and don't try to control them when they start doing. Because most brands reach out to you, and when you first do the first one, they'll be like, oh, this is a nice thing, okay. Then when you start doing it continuously, you know what you want to do, you know what you gave me to do. They'll start bringing in all these unnecessary do's and don'ts. At the same time, frustrating the influencer. And sometimes you can't back out of the deal because you've signed a contract with them. You get? So at the same time, it's both frustrating for the influencer. Influencers that don't have a voice, like she said, it's not just about taking gigs or making it, because anybody can take gigs. Gigs come to most influencers almost every day. Some of these gigs, they pay good money because your name is on it. And as an influencer, when you take whatever contract, or whatever project, or whatever gig you take, whatever happens, your name is on the line. So that's the thing. So brands should let influencers do what they want to do, the best way they can do it, without necessarily imposing on them.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
agree
thing.
with you. Because I know sometimes brands will reach out to you, okay, they know you're a lifestyle influencer, but they want you to influence maybe something else that isn't in your line of
Yes, for instance.
something else that is not in your line of work. And it's always like that. So I think brands need to reach out to people you need. This is exactly what you want. You'll find someone that does exactly that. You don't need to, maybe because this person has more audience or something, and you want to fit the person into a certain box. We don't need to be doing that over here. Apropos, Doctor, I'm coming back to you again. How can influencers lead the need for positive change in society?
There's a very cliche proverb, and it is, you cannot give what you don't have, right? You cannot lead positive change if you yourself don't believe in positive change. You cannot teach people how to be humble if you are a proud person. You cannot teach people how to be creative if you're not creative yourself. So one of the first steps in leading positive change as an influencer is to, number one, be the kind of person you want to lead people to be, right? And I feel that because people think that, or rather, because influencing is now taken as a job, and quote unquote is just seen as creating content or just being out there and being visible, many influencers now lose the habit of, some don't even have it in the first place, but many now lose the habit of improving on themselves.
That's true.
Right? So if as an influencer you do not improve on yourself, there's no way you're going to help others or lead others. The same way a president of a sane society feels the need to always improve themselves. A CEO would not want the people he's leading to be better than he is. So he would, always want to be in that capacity to lead them. So he improves on himself, right? It's the same way, if you are influencing a community, you should always, as a matter of fact, I feel that every influencer should be obsessed with self-improvement. Get it how you want to get it. I know, yes, you might be influencing in one particular sector, but you have to improve yourself as a person, improve the quality of your thoughts, for instance. And that becomes exposing yourself to, new communities, new knowledges, new, knowledge, for instance, rather than quote unquote, hey, I just went to Dubai. How is that my business? Right? So, if you're going to lead positive change, first of all, you have to be positive. You have to improve yourself. And then, without any agenda or curriculum, what you do starts to flow onto the community that you're leading. What you do starts to rub off on the people that are around you without even trying to quote unquote actively influence them, right? Because from what everybody has been saying here, the real influencers are actually the people who started influencing, who, got an audience without trying to be an influencer. They just wanted to help people. Because the matter of fact is everybody that has an audience is an influencer. You can have largest audience, but you don't influence anyone. People just come, get what you want, or what some people now turn influencers to is, news. This person did so, this other person did so. And sometimes brands want to leverage on that for visibility, not for influence, right? There are some products I would use because a particular person is using it. He doesn't have to come and say, please use this brand, please. He doesn't have to, I just have to see it. I'm like, okay. Probably this is the last check mark I was looking for. So if you're going to lead positive change as an influencer, you first of all have to be positive.
Thank you very, very much. I'm sure we have learned a lot today about influence for good. Personally, I have learned so much about influencing. I don't know about all of you. But this is the time for questions and answers. So if you have any question you want to ask us regarding our topic for today, influence for good, please. Okay, we have somebody here. You want to? Here's the mic.
My name is Ogochukwu Ikejoa, the founder of Man United in Pigeon. So what I want to say right now is that I feel that the term good has to do with consensus, because to a large extent, right, when a lot of people see something as good, when somebody is doing that, that is when it feels good, right? But sometimes when consensus is against what you are doing, but deep inside you know that it is still good. It is bad to a lot of people. They might cancel you, but okay, so I will just say something now. So there was an incident, right, a rape allegation in the UK that had to do with Greenwood. Now, all the charges were dropped, right? Now, Daniel Rega put out a tweet that the club should terminate his contract, right? From his own standpoint, what he was doing, he saw it as a good thing, right? Now, that on my space, we had a lawyer from the UK yesterday that from his own standpoint, he said the law have dismissed the case. So from his own standpoint, he's seeing it as good as well. So how do you know that you are doing the right thing? Because good can be relative. Like good might not be good. Like it might be good to you, but it's bad to somebody else. Because you saying they should terminate somebody's contract, if he's actually innocent, that might not actually be good.
Yeah. What I try to do most of the time is that I put myself in people's shoes, right? If you have a sister, I'm coming back to your question. If you have a sister, or let's say your very close friend, right, comes out and says, someone I know, or my boyfriend, or my husband, or my neighbor, assaulted me, right? And given the fact that the person who assaulted her was a celebrity or a public figure, I believe you will not come out and, regardless of whether the law favors the person, because we know how this thing works. If you are in a big position, and for example, if I'm in a big position, a very big position now, and I commit a kind of crime, we know this is a crime, I'm going to pay lawyers. Lawyers are going to find a way to trash the case. It's a normal thing. So when I came out, I was like, United should terminate Greenwood's contract. I'm not speaking because I feel like this is the thing to do. Normally that's the right thing to do. You committed a crime. If Greenwood was not an asset to United, or he was not a popular person, he will be behind bars now. So if you're a sister, if you have a sister and she went through that same thing, you will not be defending this thing. Just like when I come back to NSAS protest right now, most people be like, I don't want to call presidential candidate name, but when you come out and be like, let's give these people a second chance, kiniko, you have forgotten that people actually died. If I had someone that died, I will not even listen to anything that anyone that was related to that incident. I won't want to hear anything because I will still be feeling the pain of the person I lost. So at the same time, before you come out and make comments or make critics or give opinions, you have to put yourself, if I was this person or if someone I knew was this person, how will I react? And that is how I usually drop my comments. I don't come out and be like, oh, play this song or kill this person or let's drag this person. No, I always put myself in the shoe because I know how it is to be a critic and I know how it feels to be hated on a daily. I know how it feels to be criticized on a daily. I pass through it every day. So when I come out and tell people online that these are things to do, I present myself like, oh, you want to criticize me? It's no big deal. When I make a tweet, I'm ready for anything. I'll come along. So that's the thing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel. I hope that has answered your question. Great. Do we have any other questions?
Sorry, to add to that, like we've been saying from the beginning and almost towards the end, that influencers are in some ways leaders. And one of the key characteristics of a leader is that you do not just if you run your company based on emotional decisions, you're going to run that company to the ground, right? Which is why it is important that you improve the quality of your thoughts. Yes, in as much as it's important as putting yourself in someone's shoes, it is also important to make logical decisions before you make out tweets, right? So I can be in a very bad position now and make out a tweet based on that position. And then that tweet influences a lot of people to do wrong simply because I was in a bad position. And I'm using myself as an example. I have made quite a number of mistakes in the early days simply because, emotions. Oh, this, emotion. You put out a tweet. This, you make a video. This. You don't spend time because your thoughts actually matters to some people rather than others. There are sometimes an influencer keeps quiet, not because they don't want to make a stand, but simply because they haven't thought out all the processes yet. And yet you see people calling them out. For example, I get called out so many times. Aproko, you haven't said anything about this issue. Is it because you support this person? It's no, because I don't know the facts. I don't know the full story. And so I cannot make a decision which is putting out the tweet based on how little I know. Like I said, I've made mistakes in the beginning, and if anyone here is also planning to be an influencer, even though you shouldn't plan to be an influencer, you should plan to help and then become an influencer in the long run. But if you're planning to be an influencer, one of the things that you should try to do is before you put out any content, whether it be a tweet, a story, you should at least try to find out more about the story so that you don't just make an emotional decision and then influence a lot of people. Thank you.
Can I add something to what he said? Because I think like he's trying to counter what I said.
30 seconds, Daniel.
So, yeah. Like I understand what he's trying to say, but like we said, morals are morals. And if we keep doing you don't make opinions, or you don't give critics, or you don't give I don't adjust ideas based on you're waiting for the full story, we will never get to anywhere. There are some things that are crystal clear. Like I said again, the NSAS protest. People are still trying to justify that there was no massacre and the rest of them. There are people that will still defend it non-stop. You understand? Now, like I said, when you are making, like we said, influencing is about lifestyle, right? So whatever you are trying to make or trying to suggest or whatever, you should also put yourself in people's shoes. That's how influencing works. If something happens, yes, in as much as it's good to get the whole story, you cannot still wait for the whole story to come out. If there are evidence that are already indisputable evidence, you can make your opinion from it. Like when you make an opinion, it doesn't mean you are right. People are free to misinterpret and debate, and you are free to still make correction to it. Okay. So it's as simple as that.
Ms. Stanley?
Yeah, so I wanted to add to what Aproko Doctor said, especially about aside waiting for the full story, you need to be sure of what you want to put out before you put out. For someone like me that I'm leading a large community of people, it's very important that everything I do is intentional. Many times it's not convenient, but for everything I write, for everything I say, so for hashtag Team Tenny, every Monday I put out a motivational topic like TT 101. And sometimes when I miss it, I get response like, oh, Miss Tenny, you didn't see anything today. And I said something. I am not under pressure to sound wise or sound woke. If I have something to say, I would say it.
Yeah.
If today I have no motivation, I really don't.
No motivation.
And I can't cook up things to write just to sound wise or sound interesting or, yeah. So even when I say topics about different things, I need to be sure because everything I say, everything I do, some people are not even checking me. Just because she said it, this is what it is.
That's true.
So I need to be very careful in making decisions. I get a lot of messages, oh, this happened to me, that happened to me. Many times, even while coming here, I know how it was a struggle for me. And I would say, you know what, I'm not in the right frame to talk about this now. Or I will get back to you. You don't need to respond to them now. You need to think through it. Because that's why this topic is very important to me. Influencing for good. A lot of people just want to be influencers for the numbers, for the clout, for the hype. But if you really want to make impact, you need to be intentional and you need to be conscious of the fact that everything that you do, everything that you say, people are seeing it and it's influencing them one way or the other.
True. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have today. I hope you've been able to learn something important about influence for good today. A very big thank you to our panelists and speakers. I personally have learned a lot. So for people out there who want to be content creators, they say you don't want to be an influencer. It happens naturally. So take your time, put out the good content, and remember, you influence people whether you like it or not. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful evening, ladies and gentlemen.